here at the mighty St Kilda Football Club. What a journey it's been getting to this day, but I'm glad we're finally able to send off Dad in a way that he deserves, surrounded by the people who loved him at a place he considered a second home. And the world famous animal enclosure, what a sight to behold. I can't see it anywhere, but if those walls could talk. So a lot can happen in 9+ months. You can turn a fiance into a wife. Good afternoon, Mrs. Kelly. Babies can be conceived and had. Not yet, Mrs. Kelly. You can even get a brand new designer nose. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, feel free to come and peruse it. I'll give you the 360-degree tour of that. But most importantly, time gives a great chance to reflect on a moment that has tipped the world on its axis for a lot of people in this room. For me, I can't see a moment in my life that will change me as profoundly in the way this one has. In an extremely poetic way, I'm a better and stronger person off the back of it. It's the cruel irony of life at times, but what makes life worth living? As a family, we've begun coming to a small level of peace with Dad's sudden passing. But for a lot in this room, and the limits placed on us when Dad passed, that sense of closure may have been difficult to find. I'm hoping we can provide some level of this for all of us today. Before I get into it properly, can I see a show of hands of all the Saints supporters in the room? And I know we've got a few from the cheer squad as well, which is greatly appreciated. I just want to say I'm so sorry for you all. Believe it or not, Dad had, is that you, John? Yeah. Can someone take him outside, please? Believe it or not, Dad actually had hair before he started supporting the Saints. But so did my mum as well, so I don't know what that was. Can I see the hands of all the Essendon supporters in the room? Excellent. I'll see you all later on at the bar. We'll debrief about who will be seeing off in the grand final. Who out of Nick Cox, Harry Jones or Archie Perkins will win their Brownlow medal first. So we've got that to look forward to. Any Carlton, Hawthorn or North supporters in the room? Please raise your hand. That's good, we've got them all over there. Okay, well, it might be better if you just wait outside. That's okay. There's enough sympathy being shared in this room at the moment, so I don't know if we can spare it for you guys. The Richmond supporters can meet you outside and give you a pep talk on how quickly you can all turn around. Well done. Anyone from interstate in the room, please raise your hands. All right, good. So we might ask you to all stay together, but try not to socialise with the sparkling clean Victorians. I can't recall COVID being too much of an issue here in Victoria over the last 12 months, so I would hate for you to ruin our track record, if that's okay. And finally, are there any Collingwood supporters who want to proudly raise their hand? So it might be best for everyone if you hang out with the interstaters. Make sure you shake their hands, hug them, get as close as possible. The aim here is droplet transmission. So, no, I'm just kidding. But although it's quite funny, they managed to create a vaccine for COVID in under 12 months and still haven't been able to vaccinate us from Collingwood supporters after all these years. Sorry, Peggy. Now I want to complete another exercise. This will probably be a bit more confronting, but I think it's worthy to shine a light on a big reason why we're all here today. So can I get roughly, probably from Bales onward, everyone to raise your hand? So everyone on this side of the room. So we should have roughly 46 people with their hands in the air, and this is the number of Australians aged 16 to 85 who will experience a mental disorder during their lifetime. So take that in, that's everyone over here. Of those 46 still with their hands in the air, can I get approximately 13 of you to keep your hands in the air? So maybe probably this group from Kev onwards. So that's the group who had serious thoughts about taking their life at some point in their life. And of these 13, I probably need about 4 people just to keep their hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, very sadly, these are the 4 Australians aged 16 to 85 who will make a suicide plan, believe it or not. And then I need just 1 person to put their hand down. So 2 of you have, maybe someone, hand down, hand up. So, that number there, the 3, is the number of people 16 to 85 who will attempt suicide in their life. And I don't know about you, but that blows me away, considering I know the majority of people in this room. So to see those 3 people who I know, it's very confronting. Can I get everyone to put their hands up? So we're roughly at about 100. So obviously this is the number of people who've been impacted at the very minimum by just 1 suicide. This doesn't measure the intensity of that impact, which has been so significant for many of us. These are real numbers that we can't escape from. It's factual, raw, and eye-opening. And now I'm going to go a bit deeper, because what I've written is very raw, but I hope it translates in the way I'm hoping, and it was put together very last minute, so you can all put your hands down now. When I talk about Dad's passing, I'm often careful with the way I talk about it. It's not out of shame or embarrassment, it's not for my own sake, but rather consideration for the person I'm speaking to. The subtext is, why should I put the pressure on a person to come up with the right reaction to the way Dad's life ended? Fancy dropping that bombshell, they don't need that. What I've realised and come to terms with over the last 9 months, my consideration with this issue is actually doing a disservice to the bigger cause at hand. Is that consideration going to protect them if they're so unlucky as to go through similar circumstances of suicide that we've all been through? Not at all. In fact, it's only going to make the fall through that trapdoor faster and longer. And what we've all been through in this room, you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy, or even a Collingwood supporter. But honestly, it shatters your reality, so let's talk about it. The internal dialogue goes racing. Could I have said something? What if I didn't say or do that? What if I had 1 more day with him? Did I not call him enough? Is that my fault? I could have done more. The fact of the matter is, Dad had bipolar 1. Periods of sustained emotional high followed by a crushing low. Dad couldn't persevere under the internal pressure placed on himself, by himself, and what he felt the world placed on him. For Dad, committing suicide on the 18th of September 2020 was a moment he saw to come to peace. I know how much love he had for everyone in this room, and it's been, shown by James and Adam how well they've spoken earlier today. And that couldn't sustain him. And just, you need to think about that. I feel so sorry for him. How can you blame him or anyone for it? That if that was the depth of despair he was at, it wasn't his only option, but he saw it as his only option. He wasn't alone, but he thought he was, and it's so incredibly sad. After quite a few months of therapy with an incredible psychologist by the name of Kate Simpson, I've come to terms with it. Not completely, even if I probably think I have, but I've learned so much through this experience. While it will never leave me, there's no reason to shy away from these feelings, emotions, and what has happened. Not talking openly and honestly about Dad's suicide doesn't improve the statistics. It doesn't help me, it doesn't help my family or anyone else in this room. These internal stores of emotions serve us no favours. We need to get them out. 3% of Australians aged 16 to 85, 3 people in this room, will attempt suicide in their life. It's absolutely staggering. The multiplier on this is the people left behind, like us. Hundreds of people are impacted, and the cruel irony is, those hundreds of people would do something if they could, and we all would have. But almost all the time, they don't have the chance. I don't want one single person to go through what my family and everyone in this room has been through. If we can help move the needle down from 3% to 2%, I consider that a huge success. So you're probably thinking, what can I do? And that's the harder part. The football club culture Dad grew up in, as well as the current climate we live in without getting political, has no room for error. In a football context, go back with the flight And if you shirk the contest, it's worse than treason. It's a crime. We're at war. Weakness, vulnerability, and mistakes don't exist. In a broader sense, man up, toughen up, harden up. They're admirable in what they teach. Get the outcome, no matter what, in any way you can. Grin it, bear it, white knuckle your way through. But the underlying message it sends to people is, you're not human, you're a robot, you need to be perfect, you're infallible, and you don't feel or shouldn't feel. And it's a practical message that can serve a lot of purpose, but it's not the right one, and I'll tell you why. The fact of the matter is, everyone in this room is going to pass away one day. You can't escape it. If you deny it, it will hit you harder. It can be hard to accept. I've struggled with it. You're weak, you are fallible, you are vulnerable, you will make mistakes. Life is finite, but life wouldn't be beautiful without the impending spectre that it ends. Yet the message we see in society at times is, don't talk about it. Pretend it's not happening. Put your head in the sand, numb yourself with whatever it might be, drugs, alcohol, social media, Netflix, procrastination. The Frawley family know this all too well. I managed to connect with Chelsea Frawley in the past few months. While Dad would be very proud with that name drop, I received a touching email that helped me at a time when I was struggling. The key message around the Time to Talk campaign and Spud's game, as well as Danny's story, is we need to change the way people think and speak about mental illness. And that for me starts with openness and vulnerability. Being vulnerable is being honest. If I don't see your vulnerability, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You're just doing a good job of keeping it under wraps. Let's stop kidding ourselves. Just because you aren't talking to people about these feelings of sadness, insecurity, fear, doubt, hopelessness, it doesn't make them go away. In fact, it does the opposite. They loom, they grow, they build. You haven't said anything to this point, so it becomes harder for you to say something now. Will people see me as a fraud? Will people question why I didn't say something sooner? It's embarrassing. What's wrong with me? I think it's the best to keep this secret. They don't need this in their life. To be clear, this isn't me casting judgment. This is internal dialogue that I've experienced myself in the last 9 months. I wish I could have done something for Dad, but I didn't get the chance, and I'm at peace with that. What I can do is foster an environment around me where people feel like they don't have to keep their guard up. Now, Mum, block your ears for this one. Life is fucking hard. There is so much pressure on us all. Mental, physical, financial, social. As the world has developed technologically, the pressure is built. Perfect worlds are more visible and accessible for us to see, but to not achieve. There is a false narrative of perfection being put out in the world, and it's making us all miserable. I'm one person, and as big as my ego is, I'm not going to change the world. Very few have the ability. But that doesn't mean I can't influence the network around me to make real change. All we can do is chip away, be there for our friends and family, go deeper, have those difficult or uncomfortable conversations, have faith that they won't burn you, give them the chance to lower their guard and show you and those around them how imperfect they are. Talk. What's in your head, put it out there for the world to see, without fear or doubt or judgment. On average, we all have about 155 friends. Dad would have definitely had more, but this room has the ability to influence 15,500 people out in society just by showing up as your honest self, not the version you were wearing as a mask. This is how we make actual change. You can't change the world, but you have influence, whether you believe it or not. Believe in that, be honest and use it. And hopefully we can prevent just one other group of 100 people just like us in this room going through the same roller coaster of emotions. Now, there's a lot of people who made this day possible and contributed to Dad's life, and to be honest, everyone in this room did. You all deserve a mention, but specifically I want to call out a few. Marg for working with the Saints to sound out this venue. It was a big burden to bring this all together, but it was amazing to have you side by side as we rode the bumps and bruises of COVID and lockdowns. Marg's had to leave, but couldn't be more grateful with how she's helped me through this. I want to thank Steve for organising the silent auction, Adam for emceeing, Jimmy for speaking as well. They were really beautiful words. It's really made this such a great day that Dad would definitely be proud of. There's a couple of other mentions as well. Frank Martinez, when Dad was in the depths of his depression, Frank would call him every day, encouraging him to come out with him for some exercise or to go to Listerfield Lake. Dad eventually gave in. Frank, you've been through a lot in your life, but what you did for Dad during his time with me will never be forgotten. Pat and Marg for housing Dad when he moved out of Mum's. Sounds like it was some of the best times in both of your lives, which I'm sure you all really cherish. Justin and Lisa, not only for making the trip here, but the friendship you provided Dad. He loved you and your family, and those Bali trips, you provided a lot of support to us during this period. Adam Arness, again, for the friendship you provided Dad over the years, and the legal advice, of course. Andrea, for the love you gave Dad in those final 6 months. He loved your family, and you guys had some great memories. The wider Kelly family, for all the fun and great times you had with Dad, the JFK Cup, the overseas trips. Dad has taught me the value of family through you. For the immediate Kelly family, we've stuck together and come out of this as solid as ever. We should all be proud of our diverse family and continue to embody the love that Dad gave us at every birthday, Christmas, Easter, and all the other beautiful times we got to share with him. Bernadette, my absolute rock and a happy place in my life. I keep saying it, but I couldn't have done it without you. So self-sacrificing, so loving, so caring. She's come out of her shell in the last few years, and I'm so glad you all get to see this beautiful girl who I have the pleasure of spending my life with. For Dad, it's not a milestone, I said, but what I would give now to be able to show my appreciation to you again every single day. While James Hurd is still with us, I'm not going to lie and say you were the best dad I could have asked for, but you're pretty damn close. The care for us 5 boys, doing things just to benefit us, your support to Mum, you were an incredible man, and you drove me insane at times and kept me on the edge, but everything you did was from a place of love. Look at this room. It's not just that you had an impact on all of these people, it was really significant. You were larger than life. You taught people to have fun. You were bloody organised at times and bloody disorganised at others. I definitely got my lateness from you, considering I ran late to, your actual memorial when I was supposed to be setting it up at 1 p.m. But it came from a place of you loving to squeeze the most out of life, fitting everything in where you could. The best parts of me are in you. I'm so happy you were my dad. You made life so fun and gave me some of the best gifts a dad could give a son. You were so proud of me, even if I wasn't in myself at times. The rest of my life will be spent dedicated to you and fulfilling the potential that you would have seen as going underutilised. While you didn't get to see our wedding, I know how proud you were of Bernadette and I. You are our biggest support. I wish I had another 20 to 30 years with you. That's all I would want. But if I can't get that, I'll harness your spirit to get the most out of life. You've lit a fire in my belly, and while you're not here with us anymore, I plan to live a life big enough for the both of us. Dad, the biggest lasting legacy of your death is the relationship between me and Mum. What a roller coaster Mum and I have been through over the years. We butted heads, we argued, she threw a pot plant at me. You were always there to keep us from killing each other. You loved both of us so much and just wanted us to love each other. Well, Dad, you succeeded. What's happened between Mum and I in the last 9 months reflects what you wanted from our relationship. We're galvanised. We're in an incredible place. I'm so proud of the relationship I have with my mum. Mum, you're the rock who helped me through this period. I couldn't have done it without you. And so happy with where our relationship is. You've been through it all and then some. You're an absolute warrior who I have so much love and respect for. I'm sorry for my vicious tongue and the stress I've caused you over the years. You didn't deserve any of it, particularly what you were going through. And I'm so glad that we've arrived at this beautiful place between a mother and son. I love you, Mum. Thank you all for being here. It's amazing to feel the love in the room today, and it's so appreciated by the family. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll kick on like Dad would have. But before I wrap up, there's just one thing I would like to do, and can I please get my mum and Uncle John up here as well?